Hello, my name is LJ and I just created a Booktube channel, something that I have thought about doing for a long time and haven't quite got there in making it. I'm probably not going to be like many other Booktube channels because I have no blinking idea what I'm doing. So I've made myself a cup of tea, do the Newbie Book Tag thing that I've seen, give it a whirl, see how we go. So I'm going to read from some notes, bear with me, this isn't going to be as professional as I would probably like it to be, but we'll see how we go. Why I have started this channel. So 2022 is the year that I started to read more. I have now, well, it's October now and I've read 72 books, which is vastly more than I've ever read before. With that in mind, I basically decided that maybe I could share some of my reads. I have friends that read. We don't all read the same things. I don't really want this to be very serious. I want it to be fun. I find writing reviews hard. I don't have the patience to do a spiel about what happened in the story. In fact, I find it quite annoying when reading a review when they do that, because I don't know if it's just me, but when I read a review, I generally read it after I've read the book. I mean, I might have a cursory glance at the star ratings, like see how it goes on average, but I don't actually read the reviews until I've finished the book, and then I want to know what everyone thinks about it. So maybe I'm a bit weird. So when I write a review, I like to say boom boom boom, what I liked, what I didn't like, and whether the characters were bastards or not. So I've gone off on a tangent, but basically I felt like talking about it in person would be easier for me than writing it down, because I just get distracted, and who wants to have to read all of my waffle? I mean, you have to listen to it now, but poor you. What's fun and unique about me? I have a really odd taste in books. I don't have a rhyme or reason, so this isn't going to be like other channels, because I am not going to sit here and have a theme. I'm not going to sit here and have a pile of books that I definitely want to read in a month, because I'm not that organised. I'm a mum, I have a young child, life can get in the way. I'm just not going to do that. So that's what's different about me. I'm pretty blunt and I'm not very perky, quite typical grumpy Brit. I mean, if Americans are watching this, for all you other lovely people who are watching this, I am a atypical southerner and I live on the south coast of England, so make your decision about me and what you will. I have a busy life, but not in the way that a lot of other booktubers do. I work, I have children, I'm busy trying to be a good mum, and so when I'm not working looking after my child, I have lots of free time in my evenings because my husband works away, and therefore I'm stuck at home on my Todd fair bit. So yeah, there you go. That's what's unique about me, I suppose. What are you most excited about? I suppose I'm excited about putting my thoughts and opinions into words. I used to be part of a book group, and I really enjoyed talking about how I felt about a book with people who'd read it. I miss having like-minded people around me that have read the same things as me. I mean, I love my friends and I love the people that read. I love the people that don't read, but you know, and I live with a man who's severely dyslexic and doesn't like reading at all, so he basically watches whatever TV version of whatever I've read, so that's how we can get on, because he's a geek and I'm a geek. I think when I wrote the answers to these, I got question 4 and 5 mixed up, so let me try and decipher what I have said here. So question 4 is why I love reading. I love reading for world building. I love reading for scene setting and romance and fight scenes and magic and gripping plots and no expectations. No, I don't like things to be the same, so I like picking up different books and having a completely different world thrown at me. Things that you don't find on the TV. I have not got the attention span to watch TV anymore. I don't know what happened, but between turning past the age of 25 and my life changing and things being complicated, I don't have the time nor the inclination to sit and binge watch TV. I just don't. What I like about reading is that you can pick a book up, you can read a few pages, you can put the book down. You can pick the book up, read a few pages, put the book down. But you can also pick a book up, lose 4 hours of your life that you don't ever get back. It's 3 a.m. You think, shit, I've got to get up with an angry child in about 3.5 hours time. What have I done? With a TV series, you sit there for an hour and your eyes sting and you have to pay attention because otherwise you don't know what's going on. And if you're like me and you're deaf, you have to have the subtitles on, so you have to read the screen to keep up with what's going on. I just don't have the attention span for that. What book or series got me into reading? Oh crikey, well, you're gonna hate me. I am an atypical Harry Potter kid. When I was 6, I had a life-threatening situation happen. I had appendicitis and it burst, and I had to go into surgery twice, and I was very, very sick, and my mum got very cross, shouted at my stepdad, get me a bloody book. He had been watching Blue Peter not long before I was sick, and he'd seen J.K. Rowling on Blue Peter, so he decided that was a book that was on Blue Peter. If Blue Peter thought it was good, that he would go and get it, so he went and got the first 2 Harry Potter books because that's all that was available at the time. This was in 1999, and my mum read Harry Potter to me and I loved it. Now don't get me wrong, before I went into hospital and was sick, I did like reading. I had lots of books. I enjoyed reading Enid Blyton. I enjoyed reading Beatrix Potter, A.A. Milne, general worst witch type stories. What's her name? Jill Murphy. I enjoyed all of that, but Harry Potter, being sick, my mum's voice reading to me, life-changing. When I came out of hospital and I was at home recovering, the 3rd book came out, Prisoner of Azkaban, which to this day I always say is my absolute favourite Harry Potter book. I will read that one over all of the others because it's just... And so then my mum read the 3rd Harry Potter book to me, and I was sold. By the time the 4th book, Goblet of Fire, came out, I actually said, hey mum, I'm 7 now. I just turned 8. I said, I'm gonna read this one. So I read the Goblet of Fire, and that's kind of where it went from then. And after that, once you get going with reading, you think, what else is there? And I just devoured whatever books I could find. My mum used to bring home books from the library that the librarians had recommended, and invariably I think some of them were not age appropriate, but I haven't got the heart to tell my mum that she used to bring me home some very questionable literature when I was of a tender age. I think when I was, how old was I? I must have been about 14. She gave me the Regeneration series by Pat Barker, and it's a fairly graphic trilogy, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, anyway, I digress. That's what got me into reading. That was what I loved, you know, Twilight, but not like other people like Twilight. Like, I picked it up when it came out, but when it came out into the UK the first time, it didn't have the whole holding the apple thing. It was actually a white cover, and it had a girl with a bob looking scared, like, ooh. It didn't suit the book, but there we go. Anyway, moving on. What questions would I ask my favourite booktubers? Well, I have one favourite booktuber in particular, which is Frolic Through Fiction. I think her name is Ashley. I may have got her name wrong, so sorry if I have. I love her atmosphere and her aesthetics, but I cannot do aesthetics. I can't do atmosphere. I am a homebody. I dress quite dumpy, and my house is clean and tidy, but it's a house with a young child in it, and therefore it's quite messy. Well, it's not messy, but it's lived in. So I can't provide you those atmospheric videos, but I thought, oh well, I shall talk and you shall turn the channel off and give me a thumbs down if you hate whatever I'm saying. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Okay, I swear a lot. I do think that's allowed. Distracted quite a lot as well, and my thoughts went away with me, and before I know it, I've gone off on a tangent, so that might also happen. As I mentioned before, I suck at summaries, and it's going to be very interesting to find out what my summaries end up being like, but we'll give it a go. When did you start reading? Right, well, I've already explained the Harry Potter situation, so I'm not going to go back into that again, but generally read a lot from that point onwards, and then I had a bit of a dry spell after I dropped out of university, and then in 2013 I joined a book group, and I joined Goodreads, and that's where I discovered the whole reading challenge. And so from 2014 onwards, I've kind of averaged on between 40 and 50 books a year on average. This year's been a whole nother ball game. Basically, I downloaded TikTok last year, downfall of many, I know, and on TikTok there was this lovely lady. She makes book journals, so she kept a book journal, and then she made them, and it was like amazing, and I was just so envious, and I thought, what a brilliant idea. And I was just coming off of maternity leave, so I was broke, absolutely broke at the beginning of this year. So I said to myself, I'll just see what I do. There was a lady on TikTok called Cassie Reads. Her TikTok isn't there anymore now, so I don't know what happened to her, but she made a PDF on Etsy. So then I started to keep a book journal, and it was life-changing, because when you start tracking how many pages you read a day, and the other thing that helped with this was StoryGraph over Goodreads, brilliant. So StoryGraph and a book journal, I now know what I'm reading. I know how many books I'm reading a month. I know whether I'm reading an audiobook, a physical book, or a Kindle book. I know how many pages I'm reading. I know how many hours I've spent reading. I know what genre I'm reading, and it makes you read more. Not in a way where you think I need to read XYZ number of books per month, but it kind of encourages you to not have those days where you just don't pick up a book unless you're super busy. That has changed my reading habits massively this year. So instead of reading 40 books by December, I've read 72, and it's October. So where do I read? Anywhere? Does that mean the format or where I read? Because format wise, I have a book of each on the go at the same time. So I'll have an Audible book, a Kindle book, a paperback book, all on the go at the same time. The Audible book I'll listen to whilst commuting to work, whilst I'm at work, if I can be bothered to have it on whilst I'm cooking, but invariably I have my child going, "Mummy, mummy, mummy." So I don't really get a chance to listen to a book whilst my child is awake. Kindle book, anytime I can get a chance. Sometimes when he's happy and he's watching CBeebies, I can go, I'll just read my book. But, you know, I can put it down if he wants my attention, if he wants to play a game, you know, so that works. And I'm finding paperbacks increasingly less of a thing. I have lots of them. I like buying them, but they need the right kind of light. I'm a bit blind, so they invariably have quite small font, and I hate hardback books. And when you get a new release, it's hardback, it's not portable, it's uncomfortable to read, you have to read it like this. No, not a fan. I like Kindles, I like how accessible they are, I like the fact I can make the writing big, I like the fact that I can make it dark screen or a light screen or in a different kind of writing. Can't do that with a book. And, you know, beat me with a thing, you know, smell of books, whatever. Most books I buy are from charity shops and they smell like mildew, so I don't get that vibe. And the last question was, what kind of books do you like to read? Okay, so I like fantasy. I like fantasy YA sometimes. I like historical fiction. I like romance, whether that's trashy, contemporary, or Regency. I love Regency books. Oh my god. They are my guilty pleasure. So you'll have them on here because I like trashy Regency novels. I don't care what you think. I like hard hitting Booker Prize type books. So every so often I'll pick up one and it's hard going. I have to concentrate, I have to give it all my attention, but I enjoy that. I've read more autobiographies this year than I've ever read before in my life, weirdly enough. I like classics, Jane Austen buff, but every so often I'll pick up something I think, this is on the 100 books you must read before you die list. I will give this a go. A lot easier to do on Audible because you can zone out a little bit when it's a bit like, oh, that's the only way I can do Tolstoy. I don't like, I'm gonna say it because in case anyone ever says, why don't you read XYZ? I don't like crime, I don't like horror, I don't like thrillers, I don't like detective novels. I think they're boring, they're not my cup of tea. I don't want to be disparaging of anyone's taste, but if that's the thing you're into, you probably won't talk about it. And if I do, it's probably because I've been like, I've read so many fantasy books or historical novels, I need something to cleanse my palate, and that would be when I read a thriller. Read it and then think, I didn't enjoy a second of that, and then I'll go back to reading whatever I normally read. So those are my questions. I am not going to give you a tour of my bookshelves because they are very messy and I don't think you'd like to see them. So yeah, so I think that's me done. Yeah, as I said, my name is LJ. I am me. Gonna try and make some videos. Hopefully you like them, but if you don't, sort of.